Oh, the salt! I can barely stand it! The salt is overbearing! Oh my god! Tali, what is going on with the raid mount drama? Oh, Thunders. Oh no, Thunders, what have you done? What have you done, Thunders? No! Why have you done this? Okay, raid mount drama. Let's have a look. Yeah, good shout. Mythic only Sarkareth mount customization in the Aberrus raid. Embodiment of the Hellforged. The Dungeon Journal has been updated to note that a Mythic only Scale Commander Sarkareth mount customization will drop. The Embodiment of the Hellforged Dragon Riding customization. So, this is like, obviously, I don't have to tell you what a fucking incredible model this is. Should we see it moving? Should we see it moving? We can see it moving in game by looking at the boss that it is like the model of, right? Here they are. Oh, look at that sexy beast. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'll be the one who says meh. No, what do you mean meh? This is incredible. This beautiful shadow flamey goddess. Maybe it's just too small for you to appreciate. Is it just the Glad mount but purple? Shame on you. Shame on you. For shame. Allow me to make it bigger for you so you can see it properly, because clearly some of you are not seeing this properly, because otherwise you wouldn't be saying these stupid things. Oh, It's so beautiful. Look, you know me, fam. I am an absolute fucking simp for Shadow Flame shit. I love Shadow Flame shit so much. I'm so down with that purpley orangey goodness. Load me up. I need it. It's so great. And so she's like a prototype Deathwing, right? So, you know, in the story, she's like the first person that Deathwing kind of, you know, used. Is it adamantium or whatever? The metal that he covers himself in later on. This was his first experiment. Didn't go very well, right? So Raz mount was Mythic only at first, and they changed it a couple of weeks in. Is that true? Interesting. Okay, so anyway, yeah, kind of Wolverining that shit. But this one's better than the Glad mount because A, it's just a cooler color scheme anyway. B, it's got like lore significance because it's literally a boss from a raid, right? And C, I don't have to fucking PvP to get it. So let us carry on. Sorry. In previous expansions, so it's worth mentioning, right, that this mount on the PTR was listed. Was it listed as dropping on the PTR from any difficulty, right? Or did people just assume it was going to drop from any difficulty because the Razageth mount did? Was it ever actually on the PTR as dropping at every... it was just an assumption. Uh-oh. So it was an assumption. Shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, no. Oh, shit. Fuck. No, fuck. Uh-oh. So it was just assumed. It was just assumed, driven by previous behavior. Well, driven by Season 1 behavior. Yes, so the precedent, I guess, then, in that case, which made everyone assume this, is the fact that, yes, the Razageth mount eventually dropped from Razageth at every difficulty, including LFR as well. It's a pretty rare drop. It took me a while to get it, but I did get it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was quite unusual, honestly, for that to happen. For it to be every difficulty level. I think it was a good thing. I think it was a very good thing. I've got my Razageth mount. I wouldn't if it was Mythic only, so I'm pretty happy about that. And so it suddenly being made a Mythic only mount was a surprise to many who assumed that it was going to drop on every difficulty level, just like Razageth. Now, there's a chance, of course, that they might change it to be every difficulty level after the Race to World First, like they did with Razageth, apparently. People are telling me that Razageth was a Mythic only mount until a couple of weeks into the season, and then they changed it to be every difficulty level. So there's still a chance they could do that with this mount. And people, as you can imagine, not very happy about this. In previous expansions, some Mythic final bosses would drop a unique mount. However, in Dragonflight with dragon riding mounts, Blizzard has opted to go for amazing dragon riding customizations instead. In Vault of the Incarnates, dragon riding customization was the renewed Proto-Drake embodiment of the Storm Eater, but it dropped on any difficulty. In Aberrus, the Highland Drake embodiment of the Hellforged seems to only drop on mythic difficulty, as the Dungeon Journal was recently hotfixed. Well, shit. Mythic only, well, this sucks. Seriously? Kind of makes me sad since the last one was all difficulties, but oh well. What an awful change. Of course Blizzard took something nice and cool for lower tier raiders to grind for and had to move it to Mythic only so 1% of the community can get excited about it. The old mount customization gave me, an ahead of the curve level raider, a reason to go back and help out LFR groups and pug normals each week. LFRs don't need your fucking help. I get what this person's saying, I largely agree with it, but don't sell you going to LFR as you helping out LFR, okay? I agree with everything else this person's saying, right? It is nice to be able to go into like normal and heroic and still have a chance of doing it long after you've kind of otherwise finished with the raid. That happened to me. I got it on a farm night, right? But don't make out like you're doing LFR a fucking favor by turning up. You're not. In fact, I now worry that this person is one of the assholes in LFR. I worry that this guy is one of the assholes in LFR now. And that makes me worry. Anyway, guess I'll go back to clearing the raid with my group and back to Mythic Plus runs. Great job, Blizz. I don't want to make fun of this person, but that makes me laugh as well. Well, I guess I'll just go back to still playing loads of the game. Nice one, Blizz. Oh, Blizz, you fucked it. I was going in and helping out LFR groups, trying to get my Razageth mount, but now you've made this Mythic only. Well, I guess I'll just spend all my time running Mythic Plus and still playing the game instead. Nice one. Bet you're sorry now, aren't you, Blizz? Guys, you realize every second tier has had a Mythic only mount for as long as I can remember. Actually cringe, not gonna lie. Good for the 12 people who Mythic raid. Oh, the salt! I can barely stand it! The salt is overbearing! Oh my god! Oh my god! The salt! Good for the 12 people who Mythic raid. Typical Blizzard L. Very good change. Love to see it. Finally, it's going to be rewarding. Would have been fine if it wasn't the day before a Mythic mount. They just yoinked the skin from all difficulties and are calling it good. Okay, so what do we think of this in chat, guys? I'm going to imagine this isn't a very popular change, right? I'm going to guess that this is not a very popular change. I'm not expecting them to change it to all difficulties. Like, if you were asking me to make a prediction, I would predict that they wouldn't change it to all difficulties. But having said that, I still wouldn't be surprised if they did. At least it's the first boss. No, Pos. No, it's from the final boss. Because I thought that as well. When I first read this, I assumed it dropped from the boss that it is, right? So when I first read this, I was like, oh, the first boss? Honestly, if they made this drop from the first boss, that would actually be better. That would be kind of really cool. Getting people in to just kill the first Mythic boss all the time would be actually quite fun. But no, that's not what they're doing. It does drop from Sarkareth, the final boss. Because anyone can do the first Mythic boss, right? I actually got really excited when I first read this because I thought that's what they were doing. I thought it was dropping from the first Mythic boss. But then people would come, kill the first boss, and leave in LFR. Well, no. If it dropped from the first boss, but only in Mythic. So if it was still a Mythic only drop, but it dropped from the first boss. That's what I thought was happening when I first read about this, before I read on and realized that it dropped from Sarkareth. How many of your predictions do you think will be confirmed when we see the end of the raid? Oh, I have no idea. I'm not even sure that the end cinematic will actually explain much, honestly. I've got a feeling when you've got patches coming so quickly, there's not actually... So it's interesting. One of the things I've always banged on about when it comes to WoW and like raid endings and patch endings and things like that is it's really important for WoW, I've always said, to always be explicitly setting up the next part of the story. And, you know, where BFA and Shadowlands have failed in the past is that they haven't explicitly shown you what is coming next. I always use like Argus in the Sky as the perfect example, you know. You finished that raid, you got zapped off the ship, and it was like, whoa, yeah, we did it, nice one. What the fuck? And then, you know, Argus was in the sky, and it was like, yeah, that's where we're going, fam. And BFA and Shadowlands were really bad at that. You would do the raid and it was like, well done, champion. And then you'd wait like 6 months before another story started and you're like, huh, interesting. So I've always been like really adamant that WoW needs to always be explicitly setting up the next part of the story whenever it gets to an end point. And I think that Dragonflight has done that really well. I think having the Incarnates released at the end of the first raid was really good. I feel like it's always just given like enough of what's coming next to be good. But also, I think the patch cadence means it's not so important. Like, I feel the patch cadence is so quick that honestly, it wouldn't matter if the raid cinematic did set up the next bit of the story. It would actually be okay if the raid cinematic from today actually just, you know, was like the end of the raid, because 10.15 is going to be on the PTR next week, and we'll know what's coming then. So it's not a problem. It was a big problem in BFA and Shadowlands, and particularly Shadowlands, because patches were like 8 months apart. But when you've got stuff hitting the PTR all the time, when you've got announcements for new patches all the time, and new kind of like story progression and things like that, it's actually not such a big deal. And actually, it would be okay if the end of this raid was just the end of the raid and didn't kind of go into anything else, honestly. Yeah, the smaller patches and the faster patches, so important for telling a coherent story and so important for keeping the momentum of the story going. Do you think they'll be able to keep up the cadence given the staffing issues? Yeah, 100% they'll keep up the cadence, I think. Especially this year with the roadmap, but we might lose stuff from the roadmap, I'd imagine. That'll be what happens. They'll still hit the roadmap, but there'll just be less stuff. I maintain the tier storyline will introduce a new Dragonflight. Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, I think a combination of the tier and the Chromie stuff, I'd be very surprised if the Infinite Dragonflight didn't kind of ally with us at some point. So I actually genuinely wouldn't mind if the end of the raid was just the end of the raid, because I know that there's literally 10.15 coming really soon, which is going to advance the story as well, with a mega dungeon, right? So, you know, it's not so important that they're constantly explicitly showing you what's coming next. That was important in Shadowlands because it's all you had, with huge gaps in between. But with the patch cadence of Dragonflight, it's actually okay. It doesn't matter. So yeah, it is a shame. Now, for me personally, you're going to fucking hate this, right? As someone who doesn't raid Mythic, someone who is an ahead-of-the-curve raider, I'm okay with it being Mythic only. I know you lot hate that. I know you lot think I'm dumb and stupid and masochistic, but I'm actually like legitimately fine with it being Mythic only. Like, I'm one of those people that when I see something that I'm obviously not going to get, like this, and the thing is, it's always going to drop. It's always going to drop from Sarkareth. So it's something you can come back and farm later on. You know, it's not like a Glad set. It's not like a Gladiator mount, which will be gone forever. It's something you can come back and get later on. So I will get it. I will 100% get this mount, but not this expansion. I will not be getting this mount, this expansion, if it's Mythic only. Simple as that. And I'm okay with that. You know? I'm okay with Glad mounts and stuff that I will never, ever get. Well, you say 2 years from now, Tom Cruise, but I'm working by WoW expansion time, so really just a year. So, like, you know, I will get it, and it'll be worth it. And in the meantime, seeing this fly about in the world will be an incredibly rare thing, and it'll be awesome. It'll be really special to see people flying this around on the server. And I think that's okay, honestly. I think that's cool. Because it's a beautiful mount. It's so cool. And I like it enough that I will come back and I will get it. If it's the same... I'd imagine because it only drops from Mythic, it's probably going to be pretty much a guaranteed drop. Was the Jaina mount a guaranteed drop? Yeah. If it's Mythic only, I'd expect it to be guaranteed. Because the Razageth was relatively rare. But it dropped, you know, you could feasibly run it 4 times a week on one character, can you? Oh, Jen was the first 200% drop mount. Oh, so there was one for every 10 people in the raid? Ah, interesting. Usually it is 2 per kill. Oh, there you go. So it's not going to be that rare to see it, honestly. But obviously a lot more rare than if it dropped on every difficulty, for sure. I'm so used to getting things way after expansions, I'm totally fine with it. Well, look, I'm saying this as someone who will not be getting this expansion. And I would have been very happy if it had been every difficulty. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is better. I'm just saying I'm absolutely fine with it. I've always been like that with WoW. You know, whenever I see stuff that I know is out of my league and that I can't get, I find it very inspirational, honestly. You know, when I watched people raid in Wrath on YouTube and shit, I never thought like, oh, they should make an easier version so I can do this. I was always like, whoa, there's literally no way I'm going to be able to do that anytime soon, like in the foreseeable future. That is so fucking cool. I don't know. I just find that shit cool. I think shit that I can't do is cool. I think the big problem is that we should get some more full transformations. Hey, good shout, Havelock Grave. Yeah, you are absolutely right. The problem isn't that this is... if there is a problem, the problem isn't that this is a Mythic only drop. The problem is that there's not enough like different dragon riding customizations. You're absolutely right. 100%. The problem is that there should be some more full transformations. We've got 2 at the moment, right? Have we got 2? Yeah, we've got the PvP one from last season, and we've got the Razageth one. That's literally just 2. We should absolutely have more. I agree. That's the problem. Not that this is Mythic only. There should be some other stuff for like Heroic. Give Mythic Plus a skin. Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? That'd be fucking nice. Do you think we will eventually get all the other incarnates as mount transformations? It does seem logical to me, yes. Yeah, and you know, obviously we're not fighting one of the incarnates in this raid, so this transformation is clearly keeping up the thing that they are going to do of having a new dragon transformation in each raid, which will presumably extend to, at the very least, Firak and Viranoth. You know, don't know what's going to happen to Iridikron.